Hello, everyone. Welcome back to
Go
the
ahead.
Ascension Diaries YouTube channel. My name is Alexis, and I have a beautiful guest today, my dear friend Matthew Mournian. He is a very wonderful healer. I'm going to let him talk all about himself in just a second, but please welcome him to this show. Hi. Thank you, Matthew, for being here, and how have you been doing?
Hello. I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to be here. I'm glad that we finally got to connect. I know it's been like a multi month process of random timelines almost connecting. Like we've been right here. Now we're right here. So, it's all happened. But yeah, thanks. I'm doing good.
And so, Matthew, before we get into what we want to try and kind of talk about and chat about, because I'm really eager to hear about it, is yourself and what it is that you do for your healing modalities, and just as Matthew in general, that my audience may get to reach out to you for.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. How will I describe that? So let's see. My name is Matthew. My name is Matthew Aaron Mournian. My current mission on this timeline, or at least rather within this body, which was revealed to me in the past couple years, has to do with clearing the emotional body, the physical body, the energetic body of negative emotion, negative attachment, whether that be an implant, whether that be a blockage within the self, or the body templates, whether that be something within our chakras that's blocked. We find that we can remove negative energy and quite easily move that out of the body when we activate our chi and kind of do that. So for right now, I'd say the bulk of my mission here is operating in that capacity. Additionally, what I'm also doing now, which is actually a bit more than the healing stuff, has to do with psychic intuitive readings, tarot readings. I do have a process that I just choose to call direct spirit guide consultation, and that's kind of also the phenomenon of higher self contact, which I think a lot of people are starting to become more and more familiar with as we move into the fourth density frequencies. But for right now, I would call myself a healer, a psychic, and intuitive, and I guess I would like to say just kind of like a modern day mystic, just walking the this strange ascension process. So yeah.
And that's why we're friends, because I get to engage with that part of my sort of experience too. And I feel like you've been able to open that door to a lot of us people who feel very mystic, and kind of shown them being like, hey, this is something that you do. And you freely help so many of us and teach us so much about our own abilities and just engaging with it more. And I just wanted to give you props for that, because I feel like a lot of people would agree with me.
Oh, thank you. I would say stepping into that mission is probably the most important thing that we can do right now,
Nice.
without a doubt. And that's also kind of one of the most difficult things for a lot of us. And I realize there's a little bit of a gap in our, at least on my end, there's a little bit of a gap in the connection. So hopefully it doesn't come off as overly awkward. I'm catching your words a few seconds after you talk. So just to give you an idea.
Fair enough. I'm sorry that your connection isn't so good.
All good.
So with whatever connection we have, I wanted to get into this episode and hear your perspectives on the Dimensions of Disclosure conference that you were just at, and what sort of downloads and insights you received by observing this big collective of mystical people and coming together, and what patterns you saw kind of from your perspective.
Yeah, wow, that's a really good question. Okay, thank you for asking that. So, a lot of us within the community, I came across this information about the secret space program and all this stuff right around 2015. It started really to pop up into my consciousness, and a lot of us, I was going through this wild awakening thing at the same time. And what I've noticed in the past couple of years, especially with this most recent Dimensions of a Disclosure conference, is that we seem to be watching such an accelerated dimensional shift that's occurring, and we're watching it happen on a firsthand kind of live in the moment unfolding basis within this really wild soul group of people that seem to be attracted to this. So when I talk about, I guess, my experience at Dimensions of a disclosure, it seems to go so far beyond what the physicality was of all of us meeting there. It's as if there's this huge kind of wave that's sort of like washing over the entire thing. So I would say, in kind of looking at it, it was a ongoing unfoldment of that like collective timeline that's being formed amongst those people. And it was really good to see people kind of stepping into a greater version of themselves a year later, to see how people have changed. But I would say overall, the coolest thing I saw was how many new people were there, how many people had never been to an event like that, how many people had, they were just now like arriving into that. So it was a very interesting thing to watch. It was a beautiful experience, and I'll keep rambling, but go ahead.
Wow. That's pretty astonishing. And I'm really glad that, you were able to observe that and share that with me, because I was bummed that I couldn't be there, because I knew something like that was going to happen, and it would feel like all of these sort of timelines and people's lives are just hitting this merge point where they realize they're going to be going in the same direction together, at least generally. And a lot of these connections that are made in this community, it's just so fascinating for me to watch. And last year was so amazing, and I knew so much beautiful stuff was going to blossom out of this. So it was also awesome to see that like twice as many people almost were there, which is wonderful. And not too much of a huge boom, but like a very manageable, group of people to be like, okay, now you can come with us, and you're welcome to join us on the next one, and things like that. So I was feeling it. I felt like there was a lot going on. I don't know why I was so connected to it. That's still the quantum entanglement. I felt like I was actually experiencing it in a physical way.
Oh, you certainly were. I honestly, it was crazy that you weren't there. In the strange way, I was like, oh, dude, Alexa should be here. But, the future, I have a feeling you're going to be coming to some events in the very near future. But yeah, man, I think we're all connected to it in terms of this soul group thing. It's almost like the connections that we're watching within the people at that event. It's like they're getting stronger. There's some sort of this actual, it feels like this energetic grid that's kind of strengthening within certain soul groups, especially because of the energy kind of like ramping up. It's as if the bonds will need to be closer, tighter, and stronger. I would say along with that, and this is kind of like diverting from the overall experience, but something that I observed while there on a collective level, and this is a thing that I've been seeing for kind of I guess the majority of people that are coming to me for healing or sort of any energy work or psychic work right now, and I think other healers and psychics will probably kind of agree with this, at least on a limited level. And I would say like collectively, we seem to be opening the throat chakra of our kind of like collective energy, because I would say over all the people I saw at this event, we had massive throat openings. Nearly every single person needed to have some element or frequency and opening and expansion of whatever this is within their sort of throat chakra range, and also the solar plexus. So what those two things point to, at least by my work, is like a collective, not only an awakening, but like an upsurgence of our collective intuitive capabilities, along with the ability to communicate that on a greater level to everyone around us. So what that tells me is like events like that even if you weren't physically there, you're feeding off, you're experiencing, and like you're benefiting from that energy as well. So yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I really like that, because I'm really happy to hear that you are observing and seeing so much work done with the I am sort of solar plexus, their powerhouse center, and then their manifester, like the voice box, being able to create actual, vibration itself and that freedom to express. I'm so excited, because I feel like this is the kind of content I want to hear more about. And I want to hear more people talk about these things and their experiences, because I find it genuinely entertaining compared to, like, to be honest, it's kind of, it's hard now to find things that are actually like, lift me up and open my heart and excite me, because of the, the dullness and repetitiveness of the world that we're sort of watching fall away.
I Yeah. It's
So
very, very heavy right now. And I know you're feeling it.
it's been fun. I'm curious if you had any insights about my sort of experience that I had last weekend where it was like I could barely move. And I didn't think it would make sense
Oh,
to, if
yeah.
all of these things are happening with the group, that I would be so immobilized. I thought it would energize me, to be honest, but now I'm carrying it into this week. I've been doing so much work the last couple of days that it's hilarious to see the huge difference between my energy levels. So I was just curious if you had any insight.
Oh, yeah. We could totally, I'd be happy to look at that for you if you would like. We could literally do that now. And for those of you guys who don't know, I do tarot readings primarily. That's been like kind of one of my main sort of diagnostic and energy seeking tools within the context of the healing and sort of energy session. I think the tarot, especially in questions like this, has an incredible amount or an incredible amount of information that you give us about that. So if you'd like, we can even look at your specific.
I mean, yeah, it looks
So
like
guys,
you
give
already
us an
have them on
indication of
down.
how Alexis is doing. Please go. Yeah, I was just kind of rolling with it anyway. So we're asking about maybe what the energy is around that, or the significance of that. What would that question sound like to you if you wanted to ask a question about it?
Said,
What would that be?
the experience I had last weekend energetically, is there an explanation?
Yeah, let's look at that. All right, guys, give us an indication of Alexis's experience. Where is she? Oh, interesting. Okay, so we have very clear and definitive answers to it. I think this is one of the reasons why I love working with you, because you seem to have a very you have immediate call and response. Okay, so what comes up when we ask, is there a significance? What is the significance for Alexis in this energy burst? And as I understand, it comes through as almost like a debilitatingly kind of mental and emotionally disconnected experience in which you're literally laying down for this long period of time. Hours seem to fall away. You're going in and out of these weird emotional states. A lot of just big, big energy waves. For you, just so you know, that comes in a lot of crown chakra activity. You probably will feel that as soon as I start talking about it, because you have a very wide opening up here. So you're probably getting a lot of dimensional information. When we ask, what's going on with Lexus? What's the significance of that? We get this guy right here, an important friend, the strength card. Strength has a lot of meanings, a lot of interesting kind of connotations. For you, this once again goes to this, I think this is about a cellular upgrade, a strengthening and opening of the frequencies within your body and the disconnective thing that has. And also, strength has a very kind of Syrian feline being connection as well. When we see this lion, I don't know about you, but I see a lot of feline energy with you as well. So, yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, there's definitely a significance there. Does that make sense?
That's fantastic. Oh, I love it when you read cards. I'm just like giddy.
Oh, nice. Thank you. So yeah, it's definitely a significant event for you, I would say. Cellular upgrades. Does that seem right?
Yeah, it felt like that. It honestly felt like I was going through I was just out of commission completely. My whole body, I could barely move, stand, think, do anything. It was hilarious. And I was not expecting such a whole overhaul to be happening, but truly it felt like I was outside of my body so much more than I usually am. It's usually a lot in the crown area, but it was just like everywhere. I was just not able to bring it in.
Oh yeah. What you're experiencing, I think, is really, to me, explaining that you are right on target in terms of where you're supposed to be. At least when I kind of zoom out and look at the energy that shows up as you, it feels like there's a lot of stuff kind of streaming into you from the left side and the right side. To me, that can represent a lot of past life kind of reconciliatory energy, or things that you're kind of dealing with at this stage in conjunction with what comes in on the other side, which feels like a really wide band of stuff. To me, it makes total sense that you're in this phase right now, because I don't know, I think this is kind of what we signed up for in a certain way. I definitely feel you. So yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense. I suppose there is a lot. There's a lot I'm doing that I'm not aware that I'm doing, and I'm just hoping to just walk towards getting clarity on what it is that I'm potentially doing. And I'm just curious, you know, when you get laid out like that, it's kind of like, okay, I hopefully want to have an explanation, but it's not always like that.
Oh no, absolutely. I have a feeling by October, you're going to see like this sort of like lattice of like a coincidence showing up in this strange synchronistic way in which little by little you're like moving into this new direction, which for me, it looks like you eventually moving on in some way or form or another. I know there's other stuff going around in your life that have to do with that, but it's like you're being set up for this big sort of like a physical movement in a sense. So that's probably why things are so weird right now. This is what's happening every day, I would say. So
it's funny you mention October too, because I was going to ask you about your own projections more like for the collective sake, because I'm getting a lot of info about October, but it's weird because September is this weird space that I'm not getting any information about. I'm like, nobody's remembering we have to go through a whole other month before October hits and what's coming. So I was curious if you knew about what you were feeling for September and October.
Oh, we can totally look at that. In fact, we can do a little bit of reading on the energy of September as it pertains to like a collective sense and understanding like the power we're going through with this ascension, disclosure, the ongoing kind of cellular upgrades that are happening. What would it look like in September for Alexis, myself, and everyone involved in this strange soul group? We'll just see what comes out, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Wow, interesting. So the first card that comes through for September is actually, and there might be a couple of people that read tarot that will end up looking at this. This is our first card for the month of September. We have this thing we call the Four of Pentacles here. This is an interesting character, and I'm gonna go right into it. The Four of Pentacles. This is a little bit like something's blocked up. Something needs to be let go. A collective releasing. When Four of Pentacles comes out, we've been clutching something, sitting on it, wearing it, bathing in it, holding it dearly. It usually doesn't serve us anymore. The Four of Pentacles is about letting go and moving on. We have buried ourselves in something. So when I see that for the month of September, what that will point to is kind of a collective decision that will need to be made. We can even call the Four of Pentacles an energetic and emotional constipation. We're all blocked up in a sense. So when we see that on a collective level, it's time to let something go. I know, right? It gets weird. Let's see here. In kind of looking more into what September would bring. This is where our faith element comes out on a collective level. And for other people that are interested in tarot, we do have the Six of Swords here, which will indicate that we're on a path. We're moving toward a certain thing. A lot of us have felt October historically when it rolls around as being like a revealing month, something that may or may not happen. The Six of Swords puts us kind of moving in that direction. It's the continued unfoldment. I would say on a early sense or a surface level, that's what seems to come through for the month of September. But I will add one thing. We do have another interesting card, and that's this Five of Pentacles. When we look at like a collective energy with the Five of Pentacles, that's us going without. That is not having a certain thing, being on the outside. We will make a choice with Five of Pentacles to go without a certain thing so that we can benefit later. But what it will indicate on a collective level is a disconnection. It could indicate a disconnection from like control systems. It can indicate a disconnection in a greater kind of economic and financial sense. It can also indicate a disconnection in which things just don't happen. We will not receive a certain thing. Honestly, Five of Pentacles can sometimes be grim, but it moves toward something that comes in the future, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does.
Interesting how it's kind of it's not an abundant energy. It's kind of a like pulling back, being like a little bit cautious. Overall, it's very interesting to me because I am feeling a lot more outward things showing up in October and things arriving and showing up, but September is interesting to me.
I'm actually feeling you as well. I would say since that event, and I would say in the past few, like prior, I think you can agree that there's been like this wild ramping up. When you talk about the physical symptoms, we talk about all the things that we're seeing
Yeah.
on a collective level, and then we look at the cards for September, and it's a bit conservative. It's like a standstill. It's like a clutching onto something old, with the idea that moving forward. That's our Six of Swords. It's like a process. We're going towards something. It could be a slow month. I don't know. I don't know that I'm feeling entirely resonant with those cards, at least for myself, because like you, I feel this sense that's pushing me. So I guess we shall see what shows up, right?
We are going to find out. So Matthew, I think I want to say, I was like, I could ask you so many things, but I wanted to ask you about yourself and what it is that you see coming for yourself and your, I know you've been activating your third chakra and been coming out to speak more. And I'm curious if you've had any sort of inspirations lately about what you want to be doing, because I've seen your work and I like it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Actually, that's really cool. I honestly appreciate that you asked me about myself. I think for me specifically, and a lot of other people, the last few years have been so incredibly bewildering that when I think about what I want to have coming next or where I'm going, oftentimes it's very open-ended. It's very kind of, we shall see where we are led. But I will say, if I was going to look at it, with my own tools into where I'm going or what's happening, I would say that right now, I feel that the most important thing that I can be doing as an energy worker, like a practitioner, or just as a psychic or intuitive, is to continually be of service in uncovering those things that are blocking us, and especially myself, because in the past few years, like a lot of other people here, as I've gone through this awakening process, I literally left my career, I left my job, I left my home, I left all of those things, and I kind of like stepped into this role. So what I see coming into the coming months is just a greater activation in that role. I would personally like to work more on timeline edits, the process that we go through by kind of changing, jumping, altering, and stepping into new versions of ourselves in this third dimensional existence, which by most indications or information that we receive, and society will tell us that that is a thing that is not real, that is not possible, and can't be done. And yet myself and a lot of other people, you yourself, have experienced the phenomenon of timeline jumping or switching. And what I've found in my work, at least the direction that I'm going, is that we have this ability to literally completely shift our physical vibration to such an extent that it allows us to step into another version of ourselves. So when I say, where am I going or what's coming up for the coming months, to me, I would like to answer that, or at least summarize that by saying, I plan to continually step into whatever that most optimal version of Matthew is, and just hopefully continuing to do the work that I'm doing. So yeah, I don't know if I answered that. I tend
That's
to
an awesome,
ramble.
I like it. I like it because it's true. And that's a really good point, is like, I have taken this sort of understanding that you can shift your vibration and sort of move your timeline in like the direction of your GPS in a whole into your dream life, but it takes successional choice points where you have to choose that time and that sort of dream or whatever you're trying to go towards, instead of what, perhaps your mind and society would tell you is the proper choice. But I use tarot and things like that and other mystics to sort of help me make or be confident in those decisions, and then purifying my body. It helps me get in touch with my intuition better and my third eye. And that's sort of how it's been so fun, because it's like it's choose your own adventure. Life becomes so much more full of magic.
Oh yeah, I fully agree. I would say if I could choose when I the future, I would love to do that. And for me, what I've been becoming aware of, at least in the Los Angeles area, that there are running programs which they are normalizing and integrating hybrid humans into the greater populace. And there's actual group homes that exist in cities all over America in which they're going through these integration processes. People have come into my office here at the place that I work in Los Angeles and told me firsthand information about these programs and these sort of hybrid integration things that are happening. And so my hope is in the coming months that I'll be allowed to work with some of those individuals, because what this person even instructed me was that they're actively looking for humans that are willing to work with this hybrid integration program. And in the coming years, as this disclosure timeline it begins to roll on, there's going to be a silent integration on a greater level of the physical ETs that are here. I've encountered, by my opinion, a few of them so far, and I believe these are the actual non-human humans that are existing here with us. So when I look into my future, those are the individuals that I hope to work with, those sort of non-human beings.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's a real thing. I'm surprised that other people online or in our sort of sphere of influence have not been talking about that, because as soon as I moved to Los Angeles, it was something that became instantly aware of on an intuitive level. And it was only in, I would say, December of last year that I had a group of very tall, white women with very blonde hair, very old. I suspected they were much older than they were. And one of them actually self-identified as being non-human. It was a very interesting experience. So I know that they're there. It's just an interesting kind of way that we go about kind of integrating with that. I don't know. Anyway, I'm definitely looking forward to it. So I hope that it happens.
I love that. That just like blew my mind.
Yeah.
Just like, oh my God, because it's true. And I've been sort of getting that understanding, but potentially, I don't know if you've heard anything specific with children and younger people who are perhaps, being integrated. But I feel like I'm going to be involved with this eventually too, because it just, it excites me so much.
Well, I think a lot of us will. I can tell you this much. In this case, this was a group of 4 women that were very closely related. They're all European. One of them self-identified, saying that she was a certain type of being. I'm not going to say what type of being it was, and that there are many others, but they're not in the United States. And it's an interesting piece of information. We can take it with a grain of salt. But when I hear certain things like that, I'll get this intuitive hit that'll be like, there's something there to look into. So I don't know, just an interesting point for the future, I would say.
Well, I'm excited to hear more about that, and hopefully, it's going to have to happen, in my opinion, eventually. So how it's going to be happening, it's got to be happening soon. Things have got to roll forward.
Oh yeah.
I think.
Oh, yeah, it's already happening. So.
Well, is there anything that you thought perhaps you wanted to speak about that has been weighing on your soul and your heart, perhaps, that you could share on this platform with us today?
That's a really good question. And yes, there sort of is, and I'll try to do it without a rambling, circular sort of a response. But I would say right now in the work that I'm doing, the number one question that people come to me for is understanding their greater purpose, their greater mission, what it is that they're called to do, be, or activate into as these sort of, if we identify ourselves as star seeds or wanderers or, whoever we are, we come down here, we choose to live in this human body and go through this multi-incarnational process. I think if there's anything that I would like to say at this point is people are searching for their mission. They're searching to be activated. They're searching for, that greater meaning or direction that they're looking for. And all of us that are involved in these topics and this information, we see it on an everyday basis. So what that tells me right now is that we are once again seeing this evidence that we are right at this jumping off point collectively as a society. And I feel that those individuals, you, me, those of us that are kind of towing the line and carrying these fourth density frequencies, the best thing we can continue to do is continue to talk about it, continue to state it, continue to work in our respective area. So when I answer the question of what it is that I want to say, be, or do next, for me, it's about carrying forward the idea that if you are attracted to this information, if you found this YouTube channel, if you drove hundreds of miles to go to a strange event like Dimensions of a disclosure. If you find yourself drawn to this information, it's not a mistake. You know, we didn't incarnate into this world to go through this random series of nonsensical events. So what that tells me is that we're being guided toward a certain thing. And what I would like to, or the message that I would like to carry forward is that each and every one of us came here with that specific calling, that mission. And I would just like to continue to help people uncover what that is, whether that be the blockages in our chakras, of the meridians, implants, or an entity that's attaching to us. So I would just let people know that if you're attracted to this information, it's for a reason. You have a purpose. Yeah, I hope that we can like continue to uncover that together on like a collective basis. So I'm just really honored to continue to do this. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm really glad that you mentioned that, because it's true. And, you know, the reason I was attracted to this, you were attracted to it, people all over the world is for a reason. And those feelings that you have that light you up inside when you talk, think, act on these things is just, you can't deny it. And that's sort of what life is about, is finding those things that light you up, because, you know, otherwise you're just not enjoying yourself. And this whole life is, you know, it's going to be given away to something else that won't inspire you. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that. And I'm coming more and more to terms with that fact that there is this sort of shift going on between dimensions and density and things like that. And that I'm personally experiencing so many more things that I can't explain, other than the fact that there has been a shift going on. The shifts that I've experienced, I've never thought I would go through my life. So I want to share it, and I want to be here to help others through it, just like yourself.
Oh yeah.
So if anyone,
I feel you. That's literally why we're here.
Yeah, right.
Go ahead.
And I'm curious if anyone wanted to reach out to you to receive any of your mystical healing abilities and perhaps get their energy body, physical body, anything aligned from your perspective. How would they reach to you?
Yes, thank you. So yeah, I'm available either through Facebook in my primary profile, which will probably be linked here. I also have sort of a business profile called Remember Your Mission, which is kind of like the Facebook business page. I do have a website. It's just not live. Don't ask me why. I just have not put it online. Most of my work tends to come through me through like a referral, either online or at the shop that I work at during the week, which is called Liberate Emporium in Los Feliz here in the greater Los Angeles area. So I am available for booking intuitive readings, tarot readings, spirit guide consultation, either in the physical sense here in Los Angeles, or the majority of my work is done online, either over Skype Messenger or by phone. And we do energy clearings, remove implants, blockages, chakra activation. And all of that is available. This is literally all I do. It's my mission in this body at this time. So feel free to reach out to me on Facebook or otherwise. Thank you.
Nice. And Jace told me that when you guys hung out at Dimensions of Disclosure, that you offered him to help clear up his energy body and everything. And he was just so appreciative of that. Just like, of course, I've been with our tarot readings. It just saved me so, like, the couple times we've gotten to, I've just felt so much better after. So really talented and really great.
Oh, nice. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. And he was so happy.
Yeah.
He was like, oh,
Thank you so much.
Matthew helped me. I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate that. I love you guys. It's really an honor to be of service to this whole group and this like community. It like reminds me that I'm actually doing what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. So I certainly appreciate the opportunity. And I realize we've gone through this weird sort of, there's been a lot of feedback on the line. So I hope everything I said came through, but I truly appreciate you like reaching out to me. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm just happy that I get to see you and talk to you in any form. I'm really grateful for this, thing called the internet and this sort of, fake 4D, whatever other dimension that we can dive to each other and this portal. I'm just really grateful for it because I think it's such a huge part of this whole thing. And it's been really nice. So I'm glad we did this. And thank you all very much for being here and watching. If you have any questions, please, of course, in the comments below. We will be here to answer them. All of his links are going to be in the description, and we will be seeing you all again very soon. And until next time, we love you guys. Goodbye.